Okay, so this is my grandmother's 2000 Chevrolet Impala. This one has the 3.4 liter V6 engine and the 4T65E automatic transmission. This car has done over 121,685 kilometers. It's been a fairly reliable car. It did have the head gasket replaced when it was at 35,000 kilometers, so there's GM quality right there. Right now we're having an issue with the transmission. The car does drive, it accelerates, no problem, but when you come, like when you're at a stop like this, and you put your foot on the gas, you hear this whining sound, and then you also get kind of like a buck. So if I take my foot off the brake and just inch forward and do this, like that's the bucking. Like it's so abrupt, it almost feels like someone's rear-ended you. If I put the vehicle in park and put my foot on the gas a little bit, you'll hear the whining sound. Now, a lot of you will probably say, well, that's your power steering. No, it's not, because the power steering was replaced about 2 years ago, and if it was your power steering, it would make this constant whining sound at different tones when you turn the wheel. So when I turn the wheel, no, so it's not the power steering. So the transmission's making this horrible whining sound, and it's also doing this horrible jerk. So when it gets up to about 20, boom, there, it's like just this weird jerking. So it does it when it shifts from first to second. Not entirely sure why. Now, this is a OBD2 scanner. I bought this from Amazon. It was like 20 bucks or so. It does not tell me that there's a problem with the transmission. If I go into OBD, it says 0 codes found. Now if I go to read codes, there are no codes stored in the module. The IM readiness thing, I don't think, since this drive cycle. So yeah, there's nothing, there's no codes. If I go into view freeze frame, no freeze frame data, yes. And if I go into car stats, it will tell me that's the load. Engine coolant temp is currently at 102 degrees Celsius, which is normal. Engine RPM, that's when you put your foot on the gas. So even though it's not throwing me a code, there's no engine light on, there's nothing. If I do this, if I go to erase codes, I'm going to actually push on the gas while I'm doing this. Erase codes. And then the noise goes away. So what the heck? It's clearly something's wrong with the car, but it's just not telling me. I'm not sure if a little $25 Amazon scanner is going to really tell me a heck of a lot, but it does scan for transmission codes too, and engine codes. It doesn't check for ABS or traction control. But give or take, maybe after 10 minutes of driving, the noise will come back again. So, I don't know. This is a very bizarre problem, and I'm not the only one who's experienced this. Everyone else on carcomplaints.com have experienced this, and people have posted videos on YouTube, but without an actual cause. What I think is going on with the car is I think it's a shift solenoid. I think it's a faulty shift solenoid, and it's just causing this problem. Or something with the computer in the transmission. It's one or the other. I know that the 4T65E transmissions aren't the greatest. They're actually shit. It just seems to be the case with a lot of these General Motors type cars. Now, my old Hyundai Tucson, it was a 2007, it actually used the same transmission, but that was a 2007, so they obviously had beefed it up, and that vehicle had 300,000 kilometers on it, no problem. This car only has 121,000, and it's already experiencing transmission problems. So, yeah. Now, here's the thing. On a cold winter day, like in the winter season, you will not experience a single problem with this transmission. There will be no bucking, there will be no whining. It will be perfect because it's cool. Something's getting hot and it's causing the transmission to behave abnormally. The transmission does have new fluid in it, does have a new filter. The fluid that was in it wasn't black, it was just a little bit brown, but it didn't smell burnt or anything. So I'm not entirely sure what the actual problem is, but I kind of have a good guess. I'm probably going to take it to a shop, and I'm going to request that they, I'm not even sure if they used the original General Motors transmission fluid. I think they put some generic one in there. But I'm going to ask them to change the fluid again with the correct General Motors stuff. And while doing that, I'm also going to ask them to put a transmission cooler on here, because it seems to me that there's a heat problem. This is a cheaper alternative than tearing the whole transmission apart to change some sensors. I'm thinking that this is all heat related because it is 25 degrees today, and it's a little toasty out. So I think just by doing those two things, it might prolong the life of this transmission. The car is definitely not worth fixing, considering just how old it is and anything can go. But anyway, you just saw this video of bad transmission behavior being cleaned up just by erasing a code that isn't there. So anyway, thanks for watching.